Welcome to Who is That Saint? Where we tell the stories of saints who lived boldly, thought deeply, and didn't water down the truth. Today's saint? He picked fights with kings, shaped Catholic philosophy forever, and basically invented the idea that faith and reason don't have to be enemies. His name is Saint Anselm of Canterbury, the man who said, "I believe so that I may understand." Let's head back almost 1,000 years to meet the guy who made it cool to use your brain for God. Anselm was born in 1033 in Aosta, what's now northern Italy, into a noble family. His dad, proud, political, kind of a tyrant. His mom, wise, gentle, deeply faithful, the kind of woman who quietly shaped her son's soul. As a kid, Anselm had this fire in him. He wanted to know things. Why the stars? Why suffering? Why God? He asked to join a monastery at 15, and was denied. The abbot probably thought he was too young, or maybe he just saw that spark and wasn't ready to deal with it. So Anselm drifted. He spent years roaming through France, indulging in the good life, until finally he landed at the Benedictine Abbey of Bec in Normandy. There, under the famous monk Lanfranc, he found what he'd been searching for: discipline, truth, peace, and purpose. Here's where things get big. Anselm starts writing. He doesn't just quote scripture and say, "That's that." He dives deep. He starts asking, can we use logic to understand what we already believe by faith? His most famous work, Theologians, drops what's now known as the ontological argument for God's existence. In plain English, he said that if you can conceive of a perfect being, one so great that nothing greater can be imagined, that being must exist because existing in reality is greater than just existing in your head. People are still arguing over it today, atheists, apologists, philosophers, you name it. But what mattered to Anselm wasn't winning debates. It was understanding the God he already loved. He summed it up like this: "I do not seek to understand so that I may believe, but I believe so that I may understand." Now, just when Anselm could have retired into monastic chill mode, something wild happened. He got called to become the Archbishop of Canterbury, the highest church role in England. And if you think that meant fancy robes and quiet prayers, think again. The kings of England, first William Rufus, then Henry I, weren't exactly Team Jesus. They wanted to control who got appointed as bishops. Anselm wasn't having it. He stood up for the church's freedom. He refused to compromise. He even got exiled twice because of it. Imagine that. The guy who proved God with philosophy is now being kicked out of the country for defending the church from state overreach. Sound familiar? Yeah. Some things don't change. And while he was in exile, he kept writing, kept teaching, kept praying, because you can exile a man, but not his faith. Let's hit pause. Why should we care about a guy who lived 1,000 years ago and argued about bishops? Because Saint Anselm was doing something we desperately need right now. He refused to separate faith from reason. He stood up to power when it tried to silence the church. And he wasn't afraid to go to battle, intellectually and spiritually, for the truth. Today we're told to keep faith private, to be silent in the name of tolerance, to never ask the big questions out loud. Anselm didn't play that game. He used his mind because he believed. He fought for truth because he loved God. And maybe most importantly, he stayed humble through it all. He wasn't flashy. He didn't need applause. He just served. Saint Anselm died on April 21, 1109 in Canterbury. Pope Clement XI declared him a doctor of the Church in 1720. His patronages, theologians, philosophers, and students, basically anyone trying to understand this crazy, beautiful thing we call faith. But I think Anselm's legacy is more than academic. He shows us that the mind matters in our faith, that you can think hard and love deeply, that when the world tries to twist the truth, your job isn't to go quiet, it's to go deeper. So today, ask the big questions. Learn your faith. Speak up when the truth is under fire. And maybe, just maybe, say a quick prayer to Saint Anselm, the gentle genius who proved God was real and still didn't flinch when kings got mad about it. That's it for today's episode of Who is That Saint? Thanks for thinking deep with us through the life of Saint Anselm of Canterbury. Share this episode, subscribe, and come back next time to meet another saint who made holiness look epic. Until then, keep your mind sharp, your prayers bold, and your heart wide open. The saints are cheering you on.